Building a better Bay Area. Moving forward, finding solutions. This is ABC 7 News.
Hi there, I'm Kristen Z. You're watching Getting Answers live on ABC 7. We ask experts your questions every day at 3 to get answers for you in real time. Did you know that maternal mortality rates among Black pregnant women are 3.5 times higher than those of white women? It's Black Maternal Health Week, and today a Santa Clara County Supervisor will join us to discuss programs to address inequities for Black moms and babies. Also, the tech world is buzzing over Elon Musk's bid to buy San Francisco-based Twitter. Twitter is holding an all-hands meeting right now. CNET's editor-in-chief will talk with us about that and big tech regulations being proposed. But first, a stunning new report in the San Francisco Chronicle today about the cognitive abilities of California senior Senator Dianne Feinstein. She's held that role for 30 years. And according to some, the report that is, some people in Washington, D.C. now think it may be time for her to retire. One of the two reporters who did the story is Tal Kopan, and Tal joins us now to talk more about this controversial and painful topic. Tal, look, Senator Feinstein has, of course, been a trailblazer, and many Californians have a lot of respect for her long career, beginning with the moment she became San Francisco mayor when George Moscone was assassinated. So that does need to be acknowledged and respected. But she is 88 years old, and according to your article, some colleagues now worry she is mentally unfit to serve. So let's start with this. Who are these colleagues?
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, every one of the people I spoke with also has that tremendous respect and admiration for her. And, you know, the concerns that they're expressing are coming from that place of sadness for, you know, what the situation they see today is. But to your specific question, I spoke with 4 members of the Senate, including 3 Democrats, and a California Democratic member of Congress, as well as I apologize if you can hear some background noise. That's these
no
at-home
need.
Zooms.
Work from home.
but and as well as 3 former staffers of the senator. And, you know, they told me a range of things. All of them expressed concern about the state of the senator's short-term memory, really specifically. You know, the California Democratic member of Congress I spoke with had a recent interaction with her that took place several weeks before the passing of her husband, which happened in February. And over the course of several hours of that conversation, not only did they not have the type of conversation that they were used to having with Senator Feinstein over the years, a very detailed, rigorous policy discussions. Not only did they not have that, they found themselves having to introduce themselves to her after years of working together, more than a decade, and then reintroduce themselves because she was forgetting parts of the conversation that they'd already had previous in this sort of several-hour interaction. And so, you know, that plus her colleagues who see her every day, who were telling me that it really is becoming a situation where there are serious questions about her ability to actually perform the job. These are people who know the job, they have the job. Some really serious concerns that were raised to us. I
need to point out that in your reporting, all these people you talked to they were anonymous, right? All of them.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And you know, we as a newspaper don't take that lightly. We have a real process for deciding whether to grant someone anonymity to speak with us. It's a combination of evaluating the credibility of the sources. You know, they were willing to let me cite their offices in you know, the reporting, if not their names. So the credibility of the sources and the importance of the information. And we evaluated those things and decided that the importance of the information and the credibility of the information, we owed it to the people of California to provide this information to them.
All right. Of course, there have been other moments these past few years that raised eyebrows, including the time when she chastised some school kids from the Bay Area that went to her office who wanted her to back the Green New Deal. So let's go ahead and listen to that.
I hear what you're saying, but we're the people who voted you. You're supposed to listen to us. That's your,
How old are
your
you?
job.
How old
I'm
are
16.
You?
I
well,
can't
you didn't
vote
for me.
Well,
all right. In that case, it wasn't a memory issue, but some pointed to her, you know, attitude that some thought were just kind of testy, given that she was talking to young kids. But look, she definitely has her defenders. Today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who of course goes way back with Senator Feinstein, issued a statement saying it's unconscionable that just weeks after losing her beloved husband of more than 4 decades, after 4 years of outstanding leadership, basically that she's subjected to these kind of ridiculous attacks, Pelosi's words, that are just kind of beneath the dignity of her office. And do you think these are ridiculous attacks?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't characterize them as attacks. I would characterize them as concerns. And again, everyone who I spoke with for this story, there was such a pain and a sadness in what they were telling me. No one took any pleasure in this. They all have tremendous respect for Senator Feinstein. They have affection for Senator Feinstein. And those were part of their concerns as well about, not wanting to use their names because of the hurt that it might cause her even to see their names attached to this. And so, the people that I spoke with felt that they owed it to the people of California to make these issues known. I mean, that's the place that a lot of this was coming from. No one would deny that it's unfortunate timing with her husband, but certainly my reporting and my colleagues reporting, Joe Garofoli, who I reported this with, it really predates, her husband's decline in health as well. And so it's not merely a situation that arises from that.
But some do say this could be politically motivated. I know that you talk to a lot of Democrats in this as well, so that makes that claim somewhat unlikely. But politically, of course, she is a centrist Democrat, considered too far on the right for many progressives, and they point to her close relationship with some of her Republican colleagues like Lindsey Graham. So how do we know, I guess, that these allegations aren't possibly politically motivated? Because when you Google this, right, and you can see it's mostly right-leaning media outlets reporting on your report.
Sure. We present the reporting that we present, and ultimately the readers are able to draw their own conclusions. And that's sort of the beauty of what we do. It's not our job to tell readers what to think. It's to tell them what we know. Like I said, there's a real process that we go through when we decide whether to grant someone anonymity and to report what they're telling us. And that includes us deciding whether we believe that the information that they're telling us is credible. And part of that is us determining their motivations for telling us the information that they're sharing. And so, I share that with your viewers for them to evaluate whether they feel that they can trust our decision making. And that process, obviously, I can't get into specifically who the people I spoke with are.
Sure. Well, her term does expire in 2 years anyway. Why do you suppose your sources felt important to speak out now, right, in terms of the timing, instead of kind of letting things take their natural course, because few are expecting her to run again?
Well, this is an issue that, has been an issue for some time. Certainly we have new details, but there was also a round of questions raised in 2020 about this. In that wave, there was also an instance where at a congressional hearing, she repeated nearly word for word 2 questions that she was reading off her prepared questions within the span of about 5 minutes, without seemingly any recognition that she was repeating herself. And there was some reporting at the time. It was all centered around whether she was able to lead the Judiciary Committee if Democrats retook the Senate, which they did. And ultimately she stepped aside. But, there's a real question as to whether the people of California, who don't elect a staff, they elect, an official, a politician, whether they have adequate elected representation. And yes, she will be able to serve through the end of 2024 if she so chooses. There is a almost never used process for expelling someone from the Senate that it's a virtual certainty her colleagues would never resort to. It's mostly been used to expel, people who supported the Confederacy in history. It's not something that happens very often. There's nothing voters can do, but there are many who hope that there's someone who can get through to her and convince her to step aside, not just for the people of California, also for her own sake. That, with her storied career, which no one will deny, her career is incredible. Again, trailblazing is a word that you use. They're pained to see her like this and fear a really public embarrassment if she continues. And so it's a combination of, for her own sake, as well as for the people of California, that they would like to see something done about it.
All right. I will say the last time we saw her was at soon-to-be Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing, and she seemed, perfectly normal and lucid and alert and in every way there. But I see in your reporting that what you're saying is that people are saying sometimes it's spotty, that it's sporadic. So I do appreciate the reporting. I appreciate you talking with us, frankly, about the decision process and the use of these sources and what you hope will come out of the reporting. So Tal Kopan, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up next, Black women are more likely to die from a pregnancy-related cause than white women. A Santa Clara County supervisor is working to address those disparities. We'll be right back to talk about that. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. We do hope that you enjoyed this lovely picture that our director is presenting. Santa Cruz Beach. Welcome back. According to the CDC, Black women are 3.5 times more likely to die than white women giving birth. Changing those statistics is one of the missions behind this week's Black Maternal Health Week. And joining us to discuss some new efforts to support healthy Black moms and babies is Santa Clara County Supervisor Susan Ellenberg. Supervisor Ellenberg, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. Glad to be here.
We see those alarming numbers, but what are the causes? Why are Black women facing much higher maternal mortality rates?
Well, there are a mix of factors, but truly racism is at the core. Black pregnant people may not be heard by their clinicians when they are describing symptoms or concerns that they have. There are higher risks of cardiovascular disease, which are also said to be related to really confronting the daily stressors of life. What's interesting is that higher rates of mortality are not at all correlated with level of education or socioeconomic status with Black pregnant people as compared to other demographics where those factors may be more highly correlated.
So you're saying even being a wealthy Black woman, your mortality, being pregnant, giving birth is still much greater?
In fact, the outcomes are worse. Our incidence of mortality and morbidity are higher as Black women are more highly educated and more financially secure. That is the inverse of what happens in most other demographics.
Right. That in itself is difficult to explain, and I imagine there's no easy answer. But I want to get to what can be done to address that. I know that Santa Clara and some other Bay Area counties actually have a new campaign to try to address that.
Yes, we do have a new campaign called Deliver Birth Justice. And Santa Clara County also has a partnership that I initiated about a year ago to improve outcomes for Black pregnant people and Black infants, where we are aiming to do three specific things: to increase education amongst healthcare providers so that they understand the systemic racism that actually impacts the outcomes. We want them to acknowledge and understand that piece. We also want to make sure that they know what resources are available to their Black clients. And we want Black pregnant people, pre-pregnant, perinatal, postnatal, between kids, to know directly as well what services are available to them.
Is there a lot of new federal funding to support such programs?
There is new federal funding. There is the new Momnibus bill. There are expansions to Medicaid, and there are options as well, expanded options as well at the state level, and we are working to make them happen at the county as well.
All right. What do Black expectant mothers need to know?
They need to know that this disparity is real, that it is not something that they might be believing is an illusion. They need to know that there are culturally specific services and programs and even healthcare providers available to them. And they need to know that it is their absolute right to ask questions and to push back if they get answers that don't feel satisfactory, or if they feel that their needs or concerns are being dismissed or minimized.
What is the best way to access these resources?
Well, one way to access them is through the Santa Clara County Public Health Department. We do have a specific program for Black infant health in our perinatal equity initiative. We're also partnering with the Hospital Councils of Northern California, and they are working with all of their partner hospitals to expand resources and make sure that both medical providers and patients alike are aware of what is available.
Okay. And one last thing, and I think it's important to address this. We're not only talking about maternal health, right? We're also talking about the health of the baby, which is completely closely linked to the health of the mother.
Absolutely closely linked. And one of the most frequent concerns is low birth rate. I should also mention the Roots Family Clinic, which is located in San Jose and provides specific services to Black pregnant people and Black infants. We want those. Part of what we do also at Santa Clara County is we're making sure to expand developmental screenings at all family resource centers and at pediatrician well visits and at other venues. And this will benefit not just Black infants, but infants across the board, so that we can make sure that we're helping not only to identify any early concerns, but that we are linking people to the appropriate programs and services and providers.
All right, Santa Clara County Supervisor Susan Ellenberg, do keep us posted on the resources and initiatives in your county. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next, Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter, like all of it. The company is meeting right now to discuss his offer. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, be back with the latest Elon Musk Twitter news. You don't want to miss that. Take a short break. All right, how Right now, Twitter is holding an all-hands meeting to discuss Elon Musk's bid to buy the entire company. The Tesla CEO today offered $54 a share to buy the rest of the company. Remember, he already owns over 9% of it. His best and final offer, as he calls it, contains a lot of promises and a bit of a threat. Joining us now to talk about this news that has the tech world buzzing, CNET editor-in-chief Connie Guglielmo. Thank you so much, Connie, for joining us.
My pleasure.
So how big of a deal would this be? What's the price tag?
Well, it's a big deal because it's Elon Musk, who likes to make a lot of noise. The price tag is, north of $40 million, but it's just an 18% premium over Twitter's share price, which some of their top investors have already said is not enough. I think the drama is more over the idea that Elon Musk wants to shake up the world of Twitter and the world of tech. Certainly it is the talk of Silicon Valley and I think lots of places today. And so the impact is on whether he's actually going to follow through and if the board actually thinks it's a good deal, which are both incredibly open questions at this point.
Yeah, I mean, indeed, they're having an all-hands meeting right now. I can only imagine we so want to be a fly on that wall, right? I imagine a lot of the executives, CEO Parag Agrawal specifically, might be quite panicked about this.
Well, again, you're dealing with Elon Musk, who is not the most predictable, CEO out there in the world. He is very adept at introducing drama. He is a Twitter power user. He has 82 million followers. He loves to use the platform to make noise. And sometimes that noise has been to his detriment, as when he said that he wanted to take Tesla, one of his companies, private in 2018, and had even, issued a note about how much he was going to pay to take it private. It caused all sorts of market reaction, and it turned out not to be true. And he got slapped with a $40 million fine and a warning from the SEC that any of his statements about Tesla need to go through a review because it is a publicly traded company. So it's interesting that his all-cash offer for Twitter is about taking the company private, which would then change the rules of engagement about what he can and can't say about a company that is privately held versus one that is publicly traded, as Twitter is today.
Right. I mean, especially if he had joined the board, which he was going to, but then backed out, that would really limit what he can say, because then his main responsibility is to the company, and there are all sorts of rules and regulations. But some also think this might be a big head case, like messing with the SEC, if you will. Is that possible? Is that what's happening? Because they also opened an investigation into the way he kind of bought up these Twitter shares, right? He hit that 5% mark, didn't disclose it promptly, so he continued to buy more until he got to 9%. Meantime, he was able to buy at a lower price because had people known about it, probably would have driven the price higher. The SEC is super mad at him. Absolutely.
And Mark Cuban, another tech billionaire investor, said today in another interview that he thinks that Elon Musk is trolling the SEC, that he's put out this offer, to buy Twitter. The presumption is that it causes a rise in Twitter's share prices. He now has a 9.2%, stake in the company, and that he could turn around and say, you know what, they're not going to get my deal, or they're not serious. I'm going to walk away and sell my shares, which have now been inflated. Right now, we're seeing the shares up in afternoon trading. They closed down about 2% in regular trading. But, if this drama continues, then there is an opportunity for him to profit off of his 9.2% stake.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because, in that offer that he calls his best and final, there was that kind of a threat saying, if you don't take this, I may have to rethink my position, meaning I may sell, dump my stock, which would then send the value of the company tanking. So are they caught between a rock and a hard place here?
Well, I mean, they are definitely in an interesting predicament. Twitter has its challenges, Elon Musk aside. They're a social media platform with a little over 200 million users, and they're seeing not a lot of growth because other sites are becoming very popular, including Instagram and TikTok. So they have challenges as a social media platform. Now you add in a very noisy and very prolific and very watched agitator like Elon Musk. And so they've had to have a shareholder meeting. There's discussions of introducing what's called a poison pill, which would prevent him from buying up shares in the public market and put a cap on that so that he doesn't go and buy a bunch of shares and do a little bit of what you were just saying, cause a lot of hype and then say, no, never mind. I've just sold my shares. He walks away with a profit, but then the market tanks. So yes, it's not how you want to be spending your time, especially if you're Twitter, which is the midst of trying to reinvent itself and really take on the challenges of building their own social media network at a time when they're being challenged by these other platforms.
All right, so here's the $64 million question. What does Elon really want? Does he actually want Twitter? And if he gets Twitter, which, you know, who can predict those odds, what is he going to do with it? And are those things going to be good for consumers, too? So you want to have a go at that?
I mean, that's a really tricky question, too. What does Elon Musk want? I mean, he wants to be in the news cycle and he wants people to pay attention to him. So checkbox. He's accomplished that. He wants the Twitter board to be in a frenzy. Should he do this? Shouldn't he do this? You know, it's causing cycles and causing all of this agita in the market. Check. He's done that. Does he want Twitter? He is, as I said, a prolific Twitter user, and lots of people are, by the way, and there is power to that platform. It is a place where lots of people go. His claim is that he believes in free speech, and he doesn't like the fact that Twitter has put in place moderation. You know, they don't want COVID misinformation. They don't want election misinformation. So if he were to hypothetically buy it and take it private and remove all sorts of restrictions in the name of free speech, people have been debating all day whether that truly means that it will be a free speech platform, because as we all know, there is a line that has been crossed in the last several years between free speech and misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. So is it going to be good for consumers? You know, that's an open question. I tend to think no, because I think that Twitter's moves to moderate its speech came after, and they haven't been perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination, but nobody wants COVID misinformation where people's lives are on the line to be out there and proliferating, right? So, you know, so those are the issues that we're going to have to deal with.
All right, CNET Editor-in-Chief Connie Guglielmo, please don't go away. We'll continue to chat on Facebook Live if you want to join us there. On air, we'll take a short break. All right, Connie, we're done with the on-air portion of the show. We streamed the show, and we have a couple minutes to finish. So if you have a couple minutes, I do want to ask you, this has prompted renewed talk in Washington over better regulation of big tech. Senator Elizabeth Warren made some noise today. Talk to us about that.
Well, there is not an SEC rule, or, I mean, I guess this would be an antitrust issue, an acquisition. And there really isn't an antitrust issue about the acquisition. Elon Musk owns a car company and he owns SpaceX. So the antitrust regulation about him getting too much control in a single market doesn't apply here. There's been a lot of tech regulation talk about the power of these platforms to affect our democracy and public discourse. And as I said earlier, in the case of Twitter and other social media platforms, including YouTube and Facebook, we're contending with the fallout of these powerful tech platforms being a place where misinformation proliferates. In the case of COVID misinformation, it can cost people their lives. And there's not a whole lot of regulation about what you can or can't say, how you moderate, how you curate content, and the power of these platforms as a place to influence our democracy or to undermine our democracy or to undermine public markets in the case of what we're seeing a little bit with Elon Musk possibly trolling the SEC, takes place. So there's a lot of different issues. There's privacy and security issues. Your data is collected by these platforms. They know where you are if you have your location services on. They know who your network of friends are. They know, what you've said about different things. So many issues have come to the fore about the tech industry because it's become such a powerful part of our lives. Oh, yeah. Right?
Yep.
And so you can't walk away from that.
Thank you so much. We are out of time, but we can certainly talk about this again. Great having you on the show. Take care.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right. Elon Musk, always making news. Thanks for joining us on this interactive show, Getting Answers today. We'll be here every weekday at 3, on air and on live stream. World News Tonight with David Muir is coming up next, and I'll see you back here at 4.